Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Man, oh man, a lot of discussion on the Super Text line about the baseball incident. So if you've not heard, this is on video. You can readily see it. I think I posted something on my X Machine account at Matt Murphy Show. That's at Matt Murphy Show, MattMurphyShow. By the way, does anybody else have the experience? Like, I'm not complaining. I am as blessed as can be. Thank you. So many of you follow us on the social media platforms. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me. I'm on Instagram, but I'm mostly on the X Machine. I mean, it's a cesspool full of awful people saying awful things about everybody, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I just lay down there and wallow in it. I mean, if you think I'm rough on this show, go over to the X Machine. By the way, kids, remember, buzzed tweeting is drunk tweeting. Be careful. But you
Twitter.
Yeah,
needs a breathalyzer.
Maybe. If you find me over there, you'll find a lot of different things. I think I put this up over there where the Karen. If I didn't, I will. The Karen is all mad about the baseball deal, and a lot of you are commenting on it. Now, two things. One, I mean, obviously this woman needed to get over herself. She has no idea, in my opinion, what the basic rules of civilization are at a baseball game. If a ball is hitting your direction, you have every right to go for it. And if you find the ball anywhere in the stadium and you pick it up, it's yours, right? Now, there's some disagreement about this. Like, for example, 9412, and I'm not suggesting that there's any right answer, but 9412 says, who rightfully grabbed it may be debatable. I see both sides. However, when she learned it was for his son on his 10th birthday, maybe she could have agreed to let the kid have it. I don't know her reason. And we know fans get crazy. Myself, I don't know the rules. Well, the rules are, I mean, he did not, I will never support a human being snatching a ball from another human being, snatching anything from another human being. Secondarily, if you are a grown person, let me be real clear. If you're at a sporting event and you're a grown person and you find yourself arguing with or fighting over a piece of paraphernalia with a child, you are always wrong. Always. Golf ball, tennis ball, baseball, glove, bat, whatever. If it is a child, you allow the child to have it. As a matter of fact, I've made it a practice, and I've not had this happen many times in my life. I think it happened once at a Montgomery Biscuits baseball game, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I have that memory correct. Where, ball comes your direction, and I'm keeping the ball. If it's just me and there's nobody else around, but I pick it up and I look, and there's this little 7-year-old face. Oh, no, you got it all. I was hoping to get it, but you got it. Give that ball to the kid. So the rules are simple. You get to the ball first, ball is yours. But afterwards, Dad, look, y'all can say that he took the higher road or whatever, but I'm looking at this lady and I'm saying, ma'am, two things. One, I got to the ball first, and baseball park rules, that ball is mine. Number two, I've given that ball to my son as a birthday gift to my son, and I'm not giving it back to you. And so you can yell all you want. You can scream all you want. You can cause a ruckus. You can call security. I don't care. But you need to get out of my face. We're done here. Thank you. You're not being the bigger man by giving up on a situation where you're in the right. You're actually showing your son how to be, there's a word that I can't use. Understand, there's chivalry and then there's losing your man card. And this was a little bit of losing the man card. 615-737-9986. Speaking of people losing their man card, let's listen to one that I don't believe ever had a man card. His name is Tim Kaine. If you don't know old Timmy, he ran on the Hillary Clinton ticket as a vice presidential candidate. They got their rumps beaten. He was Tim Walz before Tim Walz. He is a current senator. I mean, isn't he? He was a current senator, or is, from the state of Virginia. Tim Walz before Tim Walz. And here's what our man had to say about rights that we enjoy as human beings and, by extension, as American citizens.
The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the Creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that bases its rule on Shia law. The statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling.
What? I want to play this one more time for you. This is a sitting senator in the United States Congress.
The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the Creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a
Okay, let me give you a little. I think I could do this by memory, but I pulled it up just in case. Now, I could go over the first paragraph. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them to another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind require that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. This is the part I wanted you to hear. I don't know, maybe you've heard this before. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is the Declaration of Independence, friends. That is the philosophical foundation of our country. It is not the legal foundation of our country. The legal foundation of our country is the Constitution of the United States. The philosophical foundation of our nation is that all men deserve equal treatment under the law, and that we all have rights given to us not by government but by God. Not by government but by God. Or whatever you want, nature. You can call it other things, but the concept remains that you are granted. Now, I call it God, right? But I'm just trying to be as all-encompassing as I possibly can, that there are certain rights, individual rights, that you hold above and beyond whatever your government is going to tell you to do. And if your government begins to violate said rights, then you, by all rights given to you by God, have an opportunity to dissolve the political bands that bond you together. That's what the hell we did in the American Revolution. But this guy...
The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the Creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that bases its rule on Shia law. The statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling.
Who? Has he read the Declaration of Independence? Should someone send him a copy of the Declaration of Independence? Donald Trump has something to say about it.
The ineffectual senator from Virginia, a man named Tim Kaine, stated that the notion our rights come from our Creator is, quote, extremely troubling to him. Very troubling, isn't it troubling? Isn't that terrible, though? How he would say something like that, and advocated really by a totalitarian regime. This is what they say. But as everyone in this room understands, it is tyrants who are denying our rights and the rights that come from God. And it's this Declaration of Independence that proclaims we're endowed by our Creator with the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The senator from Virginia should be ashamed of himself.
He should be ashamed of himself. And to compare the United States of America that bends over backwards to secure the liberties of all of our citizens, underline citizens, regardless of their religious faith, regardless of their belief. We believe in natural rights given to us by God so much that you don't have to believe in God at all, and you still enjoy those same rights. in this country. We believe in individual liberties secured by nature or nature's God, our creator, so much that you don't have to affiliate yourself with any sort of religious faith, and will protect the blessings of freedom and liberty regardless of your faith, even if you are a Muslim. Despite the fact that there are grave concerns happening around the United States of America about how groups of Muslims in various parts of our country are attempting to reshape the laws in their local communities against the very fabric of our own Constitution, against the very fabric of our own Bill of Rights, against the very fabric of our own Declaration of Independence, creating Sharia law in those localities, Dearborn, Michigan being one of them. We believe in freedom so much that you have the right to disagree with everything this country is about if you are a citizen, and you get to stay here. It's an amazing, amazing aspect to how we lead our lives, that you can be as dumb as a box of rocks and you still enjoy those rights. You can be a liberal. Oh, I repeat myself. Dumb as a box of rocks and still have those rights. Speaking of dumb as a box of rocks, that hat still looks good on you, buddy.
Thanks, pal.
I kid because I love. Chris is next up. Hey, Chris, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Mr. Murphy, how you doing, brother?
See, if I knew it was you, Chris, I would have said, speaking of a dumb as a box of rocks, here's Chris, but I was worried. I was worried you wouldn't get the joke, so I went to Jackson. What's going on,
brother,
man?
You okay?
Yeah.
Hey, no, I just wanted to comment on your nincompoop in the news or your Karen in the baseball game. Dude, yeah, Dad, I've got a 12-year-old daughter, and if I'd have went to a ball game, yeah, man card needs to be taken away from him, sir.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with you 100%.
I got to look at that woman and say, ma'am, you got to back up.
Yes, sir.
You know, I mean, you got to back up and you got to back off. You need to understand the rules. And if you want to talk to somebody else in this stadium about this situation, they're going to tell you the same thing I'm going to tell you, is that that's my son's baseball and we're done here. That's it.
Yes, sir. I agree with you 100%, brother.
All right, man.
I agree with you. I mean, there's no, you can be cordial.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't have to be I don't know if I can say this. You don't have to be a butthole.
That's right.
But you can just say, hey, first come, first serve, and this is hers.
All right.
So
yeah, man.
But I'm a first-time caller, and I just want to tell you, love your show, brother.
Chris.
Love your show.
Hey, Chris, love those first-time callers, man. Thank you, brother, and call again very, very soon. I appreciate you.
That has to be one of the most terrifying things I can hear is, I don't know if I can say this, but
I know.
He did good.
He did really good as a first-time caller. He said butthole. He said butthole.
That's fine.
Probably don't need to say the other one.
I was like, oh, no.
I mean, there's an art form to getting around, and you can say like that other word that is like the butthole word. You can say one of those and you can say another one of those, but you can't say both of those back to back. You get in trouble. It's weird how that works, but we understand.
How long of a pause before?
It's all context, right?
Should we test it out?
No, we shouldn't test it out. But it's all context. I mean, there have been a couple of times where I've gotten away with saying a few things in an emotional state, a pointed word or two regarding. I remember, when you're talking about people that are doing things to our country, or, I mean, you can get away with saying some things about certain groups, but. You try. I try to keep it above board. We try to do our best. When we return, we will talk about Monty Fritz entering the gubernatorial debate and what it means for John Rose. I don't think it's good for John, and I like John a lot. I'm wondering, and John thus far has not said a word to me about this, but I'm wondering if we will not get to a point where John decides that he's going to run for Congress again. Look, I'll give you my analysis coming up in a moment. And I understand that a year is a long time, but third entries into this political gubernatorial race is not good for John Rose. At least this entry. 615-737-9986 is 23 after the hour on Super Talk. I'm awaiting. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Man, oh man. I'm trying to get this. I'm trying to follow up on a story that we covered last week for you on the Murphy Show involving McNairy County's own Buford Pusser. I'm going to tell you more about that in a moment. Right now.
It was 2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks?
Yeah, it was a week from Friday.
Just keep my date straight, man. I'm so awful. I don't even know what month. Is it September?
It's September. Just remember this. After this week, your Georgia Bulldogs will be 2-1.
At what?
Football.
At the foosball?
Yeah.
Huh. As predicted by you?
As predicted by me.
Are you going to offer a fearless score prediction at some point?
That will be a Friday show.
You think so?
Yes.
You and I, you keep moving those jaws, and then when I talk about betting, suddenly you got other things to do. And I'm just wondering if we're going to have a gentlemanly wager.
Gambling's a sin, Matt.
I went on FanDuel. I'd never been on FanDuel. Jackson taught me how to get on FanDuel, the same one that just said gambling was a sin. And I made my first wager on FanDuel today.
What'd you take?
I bet $10. 10 whole dollar bills on my beloved Georgia Bulldogs, giving up 3.5 points to the Tennessee Volunteers for some reason or another. I don't know why we're giving any points away. And apparently at FanDuel, my $10 will win me $9.09.
Hey.
So
I don't think you're going to win that, though.
You don't think? You think that's $10 just in the wind?
No.
What do you – so we need – at some point this week, we need to find out from the audience what they think the bet should be. And nobody's cutting anybody's hair off before you even, you know what I mean? I mean, that's where they
like
always
my
go.
Hair.
Yeah, I like my hair too. I'm not, now beards.
I'm already clean shaven.
That's true. I could do the beard and you could do the.
It's time for the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Uh-huh. Well, Iowa Hawk 8, you need to call us. Now, you just you throw down on the chat, but let's talk on the telephone, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. A couple of things from the YouTube chat. By the way, it's a wild place over there in the YouTube chat, and I love all of you. Thank you for being as wild as you are. I appreciate you. You can find us on Super Text, 615-737-9986. You can also find us on a variety of platforms like Spotify, iHeart. I encourage you to go over to Talk TV. You can see my lovely red shirt with the beautiful Georgia G on it, and you can reply in a manner of your choosing. You can also see some of the chat that's going down. Mac, you are correct, and I stand corrected. And look, Murphy's not wrong very often. Well, I don't know. Often wrong, but never in doubt. That's what my buddy Jay says. But I'm wrong on this. I have kept saying, I've said giving back when it comes to the ball. That insane Karen never had the ball, so he didn't have anything to get. He gave it to her for some reason. He did not give it back to her. And Mac, I stand corrected on that verbology. I apologize for the improper verbiage. Secondarily, Iowa Hawk 8 says, I'm surprised Matt hasn't talked more about the debate from Friday. I thought Barrett won. Ronnie said, me too. I'd like to hear more about it. NJ Brock 22 says, we're wild. It hasn't been so wild today. And I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a Monday. Maybe you guys are just hungover from the weekend. I don't know. But there it is. Nancy Nash wrote, you don't wrestle in the mud with pigs because you get both muddy and the pig likes it. It's a great Mark Twain quote. It's not my favorite. Mark Twain had a lot of great quotes, Nancy. Have I told you my favorite Mark Twain quote there, Jackson?
You've not.
I think I have, but whatever. Because it takes a minute to get this one. But this is if you have to eat two frogs, eat the big frog first.
That way you might be able to spare the little frog.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, if you got another frog coming, I mean, you might as well. If you got tasks to do, none of which are appealing or appetizing to you, go ahead and get the big task out of the way because you got more tasks coming. You know, if you got to eat 2 frogs, eat the big frog first. I just love it. I've always loved that phrase. Number 2, on the debate. I don't know that I saw a clear debate winner. Although I was in the middle of it, so I might have missed a few things. I thought everyone on that stage performed very well. There were a couple of opportunities missed up there, and I don't want to pick nits when I talk about that, but I thought each candidate had their own, particular position on some issues. We asked about a variety of things. I mean, Matt Van Epps obviously leaned on his military experience, rightly so. Some have suggested a little too much. I've heard that comment. I don't know that I share it, but there it is. Jody Barrett, Lee Reeves, and Gino Bolso all respectively discussed their own lanes within the General Assembly, within the legislative process, and how they believe themselves to be the more conservative members of that body. Jody Barrett likes to tout his 100% conservative rating from, just 2 random. I mean, look, no offense. And Jody, if you were sitting here, I'd say this. These are 2 organizations that, they're just like anybody else. I mean, they hand out ratings, whatever. But Jody Barrett says he's the most conservative guy on stage. And they all tout their Trump credentials. I'll say this. There was one point, and I just pointed out, because I don't know if anybody noticed on the debate. We asked a question, and Michael Lotfi and I each independently came up with a number of questions. I had to come up with a few of them at the end of the debate, as did Lotfi, because the debate was moving a lot more swiftly than we anticipated. But and I appreciate that. The candidates were pithy. They answered questions, and when they were done answering questions, they didn't try to fill time. They just were done, which is nice, refreshing. But Lotfi asked a question and was very specific. Said, tell me something that you disagree with the president of the United States on. There has to be something, and don't tell me there's nothing, basically. And every single one of them on stage said there's nothing. Every single one of them said there's nothing that I disagree with the president on. And then I don't know if anybody noticed it, but I followed up with a question. And that question was about Intel Corporation and the fact that the government of the United States of America bought an almost 10% interest in Intel for roughly $9 billion. This was a couple of weeks ago. The president announced the purchase. So now the government has an almost 10% stake in a private corporation. And I define socialism. I hope y'all heard this. If you didn't, go back on the podcast and listen, 997WTN.com. And I said, socialism is defined as government ownership of the means of production, government control of the means of production. That's socialism. So when the government begins buying up the means of production, whatever production that might be, call it a utility or don't, I feel like that's a bad thing because that's moving toward socialism. And we've already moved toward socialism in many of our utility categories, water usage, electricity grids, etc. I don't think we need to be moving in that direction with our chip manufacturing. I think there are other ways to protect American chip manufacturing than buying ownership in the company. I think it's a bad decision on the part of the Trump administration. And I'm going to agree with the Trump administration on just about everything, but I'm willing to tell you those things with which I disagree. And I just find it odd that every candidate on – so – you ask the question, is there anything you disagree with the Trump administration on? And they say no. And then I ask the next question, hey, they just bought into Intel. Do you think this is right? And every one of them said no. I was like, well, wait a minute. And I didn't say this because it was a debate and it's not about me. Oh, I hope y'all caught it. Like, wait a minute. You just said there's nothing you... So did you just not remember the Intel thing or what? And one of the candidates, and I forget who it was, said that he disagreed. It might have been Lee. said, I don't know that I would characterize what happened that way. And I'm like, I didn't say anything, but I'm like, well, I would, and I would encourage you to look into it and see what you think about it. 7470, Matt, can you talk about the debate? I missed the whole thing, and where can I find it to listen to? You can find it online at 997wtn.com. You go to the podcast page, and I think, Jackson, am I not right that it's under my tab?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so you go to the podcast page, click on the Listen to Matt Murphy tab on the podcast, and you can find the debate in its entirety, and you can listen there. It is my understanding, if we've not already, that we're endeavoring to get it up audio format on YouTube. So that's another way where you can listen, and I know a lot of you have wanted to listen. And I regret that through a series of unfortunate events, we don't have video. I know many of you have requested the video because in a lot of cases, you want to see how these people respond in terms of their body language. And I regret, in a combination of different things happening all at once, that we were unable to have that video for you, so I apologize for that. 615-737-9986. Pastor Patrick says, Matt, we agree. Trump isn't a conservative. He's closer to a socialist. I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. You said that. Pastor Patrick, you are let's not put words in my mouth. You've got a big enough mouth. You can speak for yourself, and I've got a big enough mouth, and I can speak for myself. So let's try not to confuse anyone on this. I know that's hyperbole, but honestly, my issue is I don't consider him a conservative. Well, Pastor Patrick, let me ask you this. Let me ask all of you Trump supporters this. And I support Trump. I have supported Donald Trump since he came down the escalator. I've supported Donald Trump. I've voted for Donald Trump 6 times. People say 6 times? Yeah. Every primary and every general election, I voted for Donald Trump. So 6 times. Oh, it was Pastor Patrick's telling me he was being sarcastic. I apologize. However, I would say this, that sometimes it's difficult to get tone over text, Pastor Patrick, so my bad. I'll say this. Donald Trump's never called, to my knowledge, I don't know that Trump's ever called himself a conservative. Maybe he has, and I've missed it. I don't think he regularly, let me put it this way, I don't believe that Donald Trump regularly touts himself as a conservative. And I don't know that from a fiscal standpoint, he cares that much about the national debt. I don't think he does. I do. I think it is the number one existential crisis facing the United States of America. The number one crisis, maybe not for Jackson, but for Jackson's children, should he ever choose to procreate. I don't know that we're encouraging or discouraging it. I'm just saying, should he choose, find himself a lovely Mrs. Jackson, and they settle down in the Jackson homestead, and they have a little Jackson, ragamuffins running around, a little brood, little twinsies.
I was once told I should have a stamp on my forehead that said unfit for reproduction.
I would not go that far at all. But I would say that even you in your mid-20s might outlive the demise of America. But I'm not so sure about it. And I sure as hell am not sure about anybody's children this day and age. Because we are $37 trillion in debt. At some point, all of those chickens come home to roost. At some point, it matters that the national debt is such where our interest payments on the national debt are exceeding our payments on our United States military. Our budget on our national debt interest is greater than our budget on our United States military. That's a problem. I don't know that Donald Trump focuses on repairing that problem as much as I would like to see him do so. Now, if you want to call that a criticism, that's fine. I don't consider Donald Trump an enemy because we might disagree on focus on this small matter. But I don't know that Trump has ever referred to himself as a conservative. One of the reasons I asked the question at the end of the debate, and if you were here for the entire thing, you remember it, I said, what informs you that you are a Republican? It's one of my favorite questions to ask politicians. What informs you? I mean, you just didn't wake up one day and somebody say, hey, you're a Republican, or hey, you're a Democrat. What informs you that you are these things? And how does being a Republican differ from being a conservative? And I made an assumption that everybody on the stage was a self-described conservative. I think that's a fair assumption. So what informs you that you're a Republican, and how's that different from being a conservative? Well, I think Donald Trump is obviously a Republican. I don't think he is as conservative as I would like for him to be on fiscal policy. And I think one candidate, and I think it was Jody Barrett, answered that question pretty well when he's, split up. Well, there's different types of conservative. There's fiscal conservatives, social conservatives. So all in all, I don't know that any blood was drawn during the debate. Hopefully you got some clarity as to who your candidate was. And if you have not been able to see it or listen to it, you can do so on 997WTN.com. When we return, what Monty Fritz does to the governor's race, a quick premise before we get out of here and hand off to Mark Levin at 7 o'clock. It's the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Just a couple of minutes before we'll say goodnight, hand off to Mark Levin. I know we're trying. Somebody just wrote in. I forget who it was. 2637 Jackson has written in and says, man, I love the Vols, but damn, this is going to be a long week. We're trying not to talk about it, too. I mean, we are trying our level best not to discuss. And it's just Monday.
Friday is going to be a struggle.
I agree with you.
Jay St. Clair, Tennessee Vol, right?
Yes.
We'll definitely have that discussion on Friday.
Well, he gave up on the Vols. I mean, but you can ask him about going to the last Natty. He was at the last Natty with his son. He climbed the fence. Were you not here for his story about the fence?
No, I have not heard this.
Where he got beat by the 6-foot chain link fence
at the Fiesta Bowl?
Yeah, I think so. His son jumped it, and Jay's like, I'm a grown man. I'm not doing that. I'm not bum rushing the field. And then the big orange took over in him, and he goes, okay, I'll do it too. And he tried to jump, and I think his britches got hung on the fence. It's pretty funny. In a moment, I shall share with you, I'll do it now. Monty Fritz in the governor's race is not good for John Rose. And I'm gonna flesh this theory out, this political theory that I have out over the next day or two. But look, every man's entitled to do this for himself. And if Monty Fritz feels called and compelled, as he said on Chris Hand's show last week, to run for governor, so be it. John Rose feels the same way, so be it. Marsha Blackburn feels the same way, so be it. I'm just telling you what my analysis of the polling a year out dictate to me is that John Rose needs every single non-Marsha vote out there. Plus, he needs to convince some Marsha fence sitters that he's a better person than Marsha. Monty Fritz taking up some of that space in the race is just going to guarantee that Marsha Blackburn wins the governor's race next year. And I know some of you don't like her. Many of you do. A lot of vocal non-support of Marsha. That's probably 20% of the Republicans in the state, maybe 25%. Well, if those non-Marsha votes are split between two of the candidates, it guarantees the Marsha victory, right? I would not be surprised. And just mark this down, write this down, Jackson, put it in an envelope, put a date on it, and we'll open it up next year. Wouldn't be